felt like you'd lost your way and maybe your laugh? Well, I have at many points throughout my life. A pivotal time was at 45, in between jobs, languishing, and at a loss for love and purpose. I found research that said we get happier as we get older, and 46 is the turning point. So I crafted an adventure called Project 46. A year about love and listening for meaning and direction in life's breadcrumb clues. And, oh yeah, I met a girl who couldn't laugh, an 88-year-old Kmart cashier, a laughter yoga leader, and many other unexpected characters who crossed my path. So if you have ever felt you needed to find your way to a better place, please listen to this animated audio story.
I just remember I couldn't laugh.
This is the story of a girl who couldn't laugh.
Had to learn how to laugh, right?
I don't know, I just picked up a laugh and I don't know.
And how I came to know her.
Remember when we were in the car and we'd all of us would be laughing at the same time and you would copy off of us and try to figure out which one I guess you liked the best.
At the beginning of this year, I set 3 goals, or what I call intentions. Love in life, peace with God, and a job I like. But above all, I wanted to grow in my appreciation for life regardless of my circumstances. After a crazy job loss and a series of very uncool events, I lost my laugh, and I was on a quest to get it back. And so I decided to follow the breadcrumbs in my life, which meant cultivating an openness to the messages in everyday events, and listening to the people who cross my path, strangers, neighbors, and even some friends. Like the group of guys I meet with weekly for what we call Dudes Night. Every Friday we get together for a meal at a friend's house, smoke cigars, drink a few beers, and soak in the hot tub. Someone brings a question each week for the group to respond to. It was my turn, and so I started with an update on my intentions.
So it's been a good 5-6 months for the most part, just kind of looking at those intentions and being happier with a lot of stuff. And until a couple weeks ago, I just had kind of a dark turn. I'm not seeing as much progress in the job search as I wanted. That was getting to me, and not having my own place. And then, and it actually came to a head. It got really bad after last Thursday. Stress was just overwhelming, and I could physically feel the pressure building up in my chest. But then over the weekend, I started to remember my intentions, and the 3 intentions that I talked about, just the mentality of the year that I wanted to adopt, of appreciating life. And so I stopped focusing on what I didn't have and started to think about, okay, the last few weeks, what have I missed because I've been so focused on these things that I don't have. I started to think back on maybe the messages that life was trying to tell me or share with me. And so I thought, I want to just record. So the last couple of days I've been kind of retracing some steps and recording conversations with people. And my friend's daughter, Sandy, said when she was younger, she had to learn how to laugh. She didn't know how to laugh. And at some point she had to find her own laugh, like finding your voice, like she didn't know, so I recorded a conversation with her.
I don't know, John and Mom would be laughing, and I would just think of their laughs and copy theirs.
Can you give us some examples?
Actually, I can't do it anymore.
Do it, honey.
I can't.
We stop.
My quest to get my laugh back involved unexpected, serendipitous meetings, often in coffee shops, like this breadcrumb encounter with a woman named Fran.
For a couple of years now, and I've met a number of very interesting people here. One day, not long ago, I was sitting here and you walked in and you had a t-shirt on that said Nepal, Kathmandu.
And it was, I had to talk to you because I have, my brother-in-law was just over there. I have an older daughter who is headed there, and then a middle daughter who's about to go there too. And I said, I obviously have to talk to you. That's when you told me your story.
Do you remember what I said? Like what I told you?
No. Not exactly.
That was enough to get
not
connect.
Verbatim. No, it was very interesting.
Meeting Fran was interesting timing for me as well, because I had just set my intentions for the year, primary of which was to love life, to be thankful, to laugh more. And Fran, as it turned out, was a trained laughter yoga leader.
It's like, wow, this is more than just synchronicity for you and your daughter,
Right.
It has to do with me as well. So at what point did you realize, did you find your laugh? Do you remember finding your laugh? And you're like, oh, I found it.
No, I don't remember how I found it. I just remember laughing.
And then you said, this is my laugh?
No.
And then I met Ruth. Stuck in a long line at Kmart, I grew frustrated until I saw the cashier. Ruth.
How long have you been working at Kmart?
30 years.
I was so impressed with her attitude, the way she interacted with the customers, her smile.
I was just 88 this year, yeah.
I was drawn to Ruth's compassion and wondered about her situation, if perhaps she was put in my path because she needed my help. And so I asked if I could take her to coffee.
You just like to work.
I do. They need to have someone there in the morning they can count on. It's me. Any kind of weather. Cane and all.
Yeah.
Ice, rain.
Get there.
I get there. I like people. I like to get out. I like to see what's going on in the world. Who wants to sit home in a chair? Who come to my counter and they tell me their troubles and they tell me their conquests and the good things that happen to them. But they always come in and give me a hug. I have a lot of people who come in and hug me. I like that. I miss those hugs,
As I started to make more connections in my conversations with people, my perspective did start to shift a bit. I was becoming more thankful for what I had, the relationships I had taken for granted perhaps. Back at Dudes Night, I told the guys how I felt as I presented them with the question for the week.
And this has been an important time, I think something I don't always appreciate, but I see the benefits of it. And a question related to, I woke up one Sunday morning and was watching this show called Sunday Morning, and they had some guy who was in prison and got out and became a lawyer. And part of the story was this quote. He said, the darkness in life serves a purpose, to show us redemption. And I just wanted to put that out there.
Must have been 6 years old,
This is Jesse.
and I remember me and my dad walking out to the grill to cook up some steaks, and I said, the goddamn Indians lost. And he stopped and he turned around and he said, I don't want you talking that way in front of me. Someday, I'm going to be your friend and your dad, but right now, I'm your dad. I don't want you talking that way in front of me. He always had this thing about woodpile talk. You have woodpile talk with your friends, but when you're around adults, you cut that all off. And there was a time, 2 or 3 years ago, where I can remember just thinking to myself, I don't think it's ever going to be that way. I think he's always going to just be my dad. And I said that with a certain sadness. There was a sadness involved with that.
Yeah.
Because it was always kind of like, there was a hierarchy order. Here's your dad, and here are the kids. And not to say that, of course I always enjoyed his company, but it was more as a fatherly figure.
Authority, whatever.
Authority, yeah. And I can remember thinking, it's just something that I have to get used to, but really wishing that, I just wish that, I never knew how to really bring it up to him, but it was like, my buddies, they take an interest in me, and I take an interest in them, and I just always feel like, I take an interest in you and what's happening, but, it doesn't seem like that interest
reciprocated.
Yeah, and so that was always hard for me. And I can remember every now and then when I felt fearless trying to bring it up, but it just was something that he could never see. And everything that's happened this past year with their divorce, you know, the beauty of it is that I have watched my father, you know, break.
The darkness in life serves a purpose to show us redemption. This had become another breadcrumb theme, something I wanted to explore more with others. So I asked Ruth about any dark spots in her life, her regrets.
Of course, everybody does. I wish I had made my Afghans. I wish I had put myself on a schedule, you know. And I wish I had started to write. I wanted to write a book or two, and I was always going to do it later. Later came awful fast. Yeah, I feel as though I've wasted some time. I'd like 20 more years and new legs. And boy, I would make a big difference.
But for the longest time, we would just look at her and, why aren't you laughing? And she wanted to. But then she would just pretend like she was laughing by faking it. And we all could tell.
And what was her laugh like?
She'd go.
The people I'd met, the conversations and connections, the desire to learn how to focus on what I had in life and let go of what I didn't, led me back to Fran to see how she helps people
I would
laugh.
probably prefer to call it laughter therapy, or love to laugh is the kind of name I've got on my brochure. So,
Laughter lessons or something.
or just laughing uncontrollably for no reason. And it's really about childlike playfulness and joy.
So you just bring in games to help people warm up to.
No, we don't bring. No, we don't bring in games. Well, I'll explain.
Okay.
What we start with is like neck rotations, little neck rolls, arm circles, just loosening up a little bit, if you can. If nobody wants to, if they don't want to do that, you don't have to.
So it's just, they participate as they want to.
As you want to. And if you're in a wheelchair, that's fine. Do whatever you can. And if you want to be more vigorous, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. Just something to loosen up the muscles. And then we do a little bit of gentle breathing. What I usually start out with, we form a sort of very loose circle. And I will start off by saying, okay, just follow me. And we go, ho, 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 ho. And then we go to ha, 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 ha. Then we really mix it up and go ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. So we're all walking around the room and we're getting louder and louder and go ho, ho, ha, ha. You know, it's just crazy. And people are in varying stages of like, are you serious? I'm supposed to do this too. Just fully involved, you know. But most people jump in and get involved pretty quickly.
And what was her laugh like?
She'd go. But she did it really loud, and she would really force it out. Try to do it, honey. Do it, please.
What is this gonna accomplish?
Seriously, it's a story. It'd be funny.
It's a unique story.
Go ahead. Do it. Just do it one time.
I've got to think about it.
Remember how you just forced it
I've got to think about it.
Do it.
I've got to think.
I let the breadcrumbs continue to lead me. I wasn't sure where I was going or what I was looking for other than perspective, and to continue to nurture gratitude in my life. And I guess I also wanted to know more about how to let darkness become a source of redemption rather than resentment. In my conversation with Ruth, I listened and looked for clues, her secrets to happiness.
What's your secret?
I don't know. If I have a secret, I don't know what it is.
Even though Ruth didn't think she had secrets,
Very happy child.
I was sure she did.
But I do feel that some of the maybe unhappy people who come to my counter, I can tell when they walk up and it's my challenge to make them smile. And I almost always do.
How do you do that?
I discovered her secret.
I love them because they're a human being, and I treat them importantly.
She loved people.
I mean, they're God's child, and they don't get that kind of treatment in their life.
How do you show that to them?
I look them in the eye, I touch them, smile a lot, ask them questions, what you do to be friendly.
But I was also listening for a deeper purpose to our meeting. I thought at first perhaps Ruth needed my help, but I discovered fairly quickly that she was better off than I was in many respects.
I'll show you how. Now, I'm left-handed, but you're not left-handed, are you? Do you have any people in your family?
My mom is.
Oh, but no men.
My brother's left-handed, and my nephew and my niece are left-handed.
Well,
And then
look under Dr. Donald Joy.
Yes, he's a friend of mine.
How interesting. I've told so many people about him. I don't know him.
No.
I just can't believe this.
Would you like me to ask him?
Yes. Oh, he'd probably be bored with me, but I'd be thrilled to death. I'm so glad I met you. Well, you're very nice.
I knew my reason for meeting Ruth. I needed to connect her with Dr. Joy, an old seminary professor of mine, my mentor. I also knew that I needed to track him down for my sake. I wanted to hear his wisdom on the matter of laughter, darkness, and redemption. So I made contact with Dr. Joy and discovered he had just turned 84. I treated him to a birthday meal at a local cafe in Wilmore, Kentucky. Afterwards, we sat in my car. I recorded our conversation. You've always seemed to be somebody who really enjoys life. And since your name is also Dr. Joy, you got to know something about a happy life.
Well, I can speak for Robbie and me. Robbie and I are both writing now impact points in our lives to turn over to our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And we've observed a pattern in both of us writing documents. A pattern in both of them is that whenever things seem to be the worst, that things were not turning out the way they were supposed to be, that what we did was we just kept on keeping on and being faithful to what we knew to do, having second thoughts and questions about whether or not we had made the right choices. And in every case, our greatest and richest experiences have been those in which we had great disappointments that had to be integrated and brought forward. And I find myself telling folks and observing it in their lives that all of your life experience, whatever it is going to be integrated and be shown of value, no matter how tragic it was, shown of value in the person that you're becoming. And if people are going to be destroyed by something or commit suicide over it, that's a deep regret, because they likely could have incorporated it and risen as unparalleled authorities on the very thing that they struggled with. I think that's the pattern I see going on around, and it sure has been in ours. So.
Talking with Dr. Joy had always brought perspective. Everything seemed to make sense, and I'd often have a renewed hope that life would work out for the best. This reminded me of a conversation with the dudes, and Jesse's story about his parents' divorce, and his father's subsequent brokenness.
And yeah, it's for the first time ever in my life, my dad is reaching out and taking interest, not just in me, but really in himself, we'll say, because he's pursuing these things that involve life, friendships, spiritual journey, things outside of himself that I've never seen before. I've never seen come out of him. And so, I mean, even just the other day, it's like we're talking on the phone, and he's talking about some account that he thinks he's going to lose, and was kind of upset about that. And then he called me back about 5 minutes later after we got off the phone, and he said, "Hey, just want to let you know I just got an email from that guy, and he said he still wants to buy from us, and he's going to call me on Monday." I was like, hell yeah. And then I got off the phone with him only to realize that it's like, that's what I want reciprocated my whole life. It's like, let's celebrate in each other and what's happening. And, you know, to me, that's what a friendship is. And to me, that would have not been possible had this whole, darkness, this split happened. So that's kind of what it made me think about.
It's taken some brokenness to, and he said it himself. What was his quote to Nick? When he,
What was it? A man.
the only way a man's heart can be open
Truly open is to be truly broken.
by being broken.
Yeah.
I just remember I couldn't laugh.
So, 3 months after meeting the girl who couldn't laugh and following the breadcrumbs back to my old mentor, Dr. Joy, this is what I've culled from the conversations. I learned that if you forget how to laugh, if you lose your laugh, like I did, you can get it back. I learned that part of getting your laugh back might mean joining with, watching, and imitating others. A period of faking it till you make it. Of trying on laughs till you find yours again, or find it for the first time. And I learned that sometimes, if you keep trying, if you hold on long enough, there may even come a time when you don't feel the darkness anymore. You may be laughing so hard and long that you forget the times when you couldn't laugh.
I can't do it. I'm serious. I'm laughing too much right now.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave, and I hope you've enjoyed this short animated audio story. My guess is that if you're still here with me after the end of the video, you want to know more about kind of my life change project and how you can do your own life change project. If we haven't met yet on my channel, welcome to the Good Life Lab, where we experiment and explore with tools, tips, and techniques for improving overall well-being, getting happier and healthier in life. I am a therapist and former college professor turned YouTuber and content creator. My goal is to just provide resources, whether they're written resources or video, and just put those out into the world, kind of helping people improve their mental health and well-being. At this point, I've worked with hundreds of people in my different roles as a therapist and college professor and advisor to help people get unstuck. And so I've developed my own approach to that, and involves what I'm calling the Good Life Positioning System, which takes into account a number of things like personality, values, interests, and works with those different aspects of who we are and creating a project that's meaningful and hopefully enjoyable to complete to improve your own well-being. I produced this short animated audio story about 14 years ago, so a lot has changed since then. In this video you just watched, I tried to capture conversations with people that I met along the way during a project that I created called Project 46 to help me kind of reinforce what I wanted to do for the year. Also with these recordings, this animated audio recording, I tried to capture kind of what I was going through in real time, kind of how my mindset was shifting as I was trying my own life change project, Project 46. What wasn't apparent in this audio story was how my intentions turned out, how my year actually turned out, a year later, 2 years later, and where I ended up with those three intentions: love and life, peace with God, and a job I liked. So about 10 years later, I completed another video called Breadcrumb Tales, which is actually a storytelling event that I created. And I've produced that as well and tried to capture where I was 10 years after this first animated audio story. So I'm going to try to connect you to that video as well to see the before and after what happened 10 years later. And then I crafted a video kind of to address that in between, like what did I do to go from this animated audio story and kind of where I was at 46, how things actually got worse after that year for me, even though I was kind of trying to manifest these intentions. And then what happened 2 years later, and really 10 years later. And so I have a couple more videos that you might want to watch. The kind of the before and after, the after of the whole Project 46, which was my TED style talk called Breadcrumb Tales, and then a newer video that I produced that just kind of pulls together the pieces and tries to connect some of those dots with before and after. And along with that, before kind of middle piece, connecting the before and after, it's actually called 1 Year Worse, 10 Years Transformed is the video that kind of explains the whole process of what I went through. There's a workbook that goes along with that, so you can kind of check that out in the description below. And then also, as well as the links to these other videos I'm talking about. So again, if you're interested in learning more, not just about kind of my before and after, but how to construct your own life change project, check the descriptions below, and I'll see you in the next video.